Many thanks for staying on the marketplace. Welcome back. Now, Ghana's chocolate industry is expected to contribute significantly to the economy if deliberate effort is made to increase investments. That's according to the Managing Director of Cocoa Processing Company, CPC, Nana Ejenim Boateng I, who spoke at the launch of 3 Golden Tree chocolate varieties in Tema. Correspondent Kwame Yanka has sent this report.
The 3 new varieties launched include Premium, Heritage Artisanal and Nutty Choc. Ghana's Golden Tree chocolate is rated as one of the best in the world. Unfortunately, the country has not made significant gains from the chocolate industry. For instance, Switzerland and Belgium, which are the largest producers of chocolate in Europe, continue to cash in on chocolate, with both countries generating between $12 billion and $14 billion of wealth annually from the industry. Ghana, on the other hand, is not earning much from the industry due to lack of capital injection and limited value addition to cocoa. The cocoa processing company has in recent times gone through challenges due to a lack of financial support, but Managing Director of CPC, Nana Ejenim Boateng, is assuring the chocolate company will play an important role in the economy.
So 8.9 to 52 for only 5,000. And that's how we are saying that if we all put our hands together and say, we will not sell the beans, we will add value and get to the tertiary. That is the difference. So if 5,000 is to 52 and CPC has 64,000 times 13 times 13. So 52 billion gross, which you also generate revenue, you create employment for everybody. You have your tax component in there. So 52 times 13 will give you 845 million.
Deputy Chief Executive of Cocoa Board, Emmanuel Opoku, also noted the cocoa processing company will be given the necessary support to become more viable.
All over the world, the processing industry uses a bit of Ghana and then add the cheaper beans from other origins. But our CPC has been processing 100% Ghana. So you can imagine that CPC has been processing, although with the best of cocoa in the world, but at a certain disadvantage to Ghana to stretch forth its hands or our hands and put CPC back on its toes.
Minister of State in charge of Agriculture, Dr. Jelin, on his part, urged CPC to focus on value addition.
I have personally taken it upon myself to promote the made in Ghana chocolate during official trips to Morocco and China. This has resulted in the establishment of business relations with chocolate manufacturers in Morocco and an invitation by the Chinese government to participate in its annual Tree Expo in 2019 for the first time ever. The
cocoa processing company is listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange but has recorded poor performance in recent times.
Now, former Deputy Minister of Finance Mona Korte says the lack of willpower is a major reason why Ghana continually go to the IMF for support. She was speaking on the business edition of PM Express with Philip Namfuri last night. Madam Korte says the country has what it takes in terms of policy know-how and knowledge to turn its economic fortunes around.
What is it that triggers us to fail each time? It is not lack of knowledge. It's not that we don't know the policies. We have actually come out with the policies each time. We've been to the IMF 16 times.
And it's been documented.
So we know, it's there.
Every time.
The main issue is the willpower to actually execute and enforce these policies straight through.
But why?
To when we get the successes. But why? Because it's about a nation. It's not about a corporate. And life gets in the way. There are exogenous shocks. There are also internal shocks that hit us along the way. But there are also people that you see and you start to feel for those people, so that you find that your budget starts to skew into the social things, which the IMF agrees that you must always have social protection anyway. After all, it's about inclusive growth and poverty reduction. Sometimes working on that takes us back a little bit. But I don't shy away from saying that there hasn't been the political resolve to make sure that we graduate and graduate permanently. However, the IMF is a resource that is always there for you to go and pick up from. So even as you're changing your lifestyle, as you're growing as a nation, you can still go there for many other resources.
That was the excerpts of PM Express last night. Now, the Promprom Cooperative Credit Union has been inaugurated for host communities within Goldfields Ghana Limited's operational areas at Takwa and Aboso in the Western region. The credit union, which is owned and managed by members of the community, hopes to encourage them to cultivate the habit of savings to fall on in times of need.
Manager for Community Affairs and Stakeholder Engagement of Aboso Goldfields Limited, Abdul Razak Yakubu, at the inauguration said, Goldfields Ghana Foundation has invested 8,000 Ghana cedis in the formation of the credit union. He explained that the credit union was initially established as a sustainable measure for farmers in the Youth in Organic Horticulture Production Project.
Goldfields Ghana Limited, through the foundation, has invested more than 800,000 Ghana cedis in supporting the formation of this credit union. We have assisted in the construction of offices in Daman, Huni Valley, and the renting of an office at Huni Valley, at New Atwabo in the Takwa host communities. We have equipped these offices with state-of-the-art ICT facilities, and we are also in the process of networking the various offices to ensure smooth operations of the credit union. Nana Chairman, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this credit union does not belong to Goldfields. Neither does it belong to GIZ. It belongs to all of us gathered here, especially those who are bought shares in it. Whether it will be successful or not does not depend on Goldfields. Neither does it depend on GIZ. It depends on all of us gathered here.
Now, telecoms giant MTN Ghana is supporting the establishment of a forensic lab to assist the police deal with mobile money and other forms of cybercrime. Mobile money fraud and armed robbery attacks on agents have affected efforts at achieving a cashless society. Nana Iyao Jima witnessed an award ceremony for mobile money agents in the northern sector and has filed this report.
Though mobile money services have gained ground in the country, providers fear customer interest could dwindle if fraud persists. Manager of MTN Mobile Money Service, Elihini, believes vigilance on the part of merchants and clients is the first towards ridding the service of fraud.
The police is actually to help the police in their investigations, because when they have these tools, they're able to identify people, especially when they go to crime scenes and they pick leads from there, fingerprints and other things. It is in this facility that they're able to interpret and understand who and who was at the crime scene. And as part of that, we also are engaging our agents. So we will start taking details of our agents, fingerprints and other things, just so that by the time we set you up as an agent, we are sure that you don't have any criminal records. We've done all those background checks. So those would also be part of it. And then
he also emphasizes partnership with police. The telephone company will from next year take relevant information on agents and their location to help police effectively monitor their activities. Agents have become targets of robbery, being at its peak in the middle of the year. Mr. Heaney reveals the company is looking at mapping all agents to help quicken police response when agents are attacked physically by robbers.
When they've done all that, then what we are saying is that with the registry and picking their location, when there's any issue and the police need to come in, they will know where they are and they can easily assist them. The other thing is we are working with insurance companies to develop insurance policies for our agents, so that should in case something happens, they have something to fall back to. And we also, beyond all that, we are also working to ensure the police can have a quick or rapid response to agents' issues when they are under attack.
Awards were given to deserving agents on the 9th, with Chief Executive of Kayat Company, Kwabna Edujemfi, picking the ultimate prize of a saloon car. Nanaya Ojima reporting.
This is live on the marketplace, and we're streaming live on Facebook. Handle is Joy Business GH. Now to the international scene, and production of cars in the UK tumbled by almost 20% in November compared with a year earlier, according to the industry's trade body, the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders, SMMT. The chief executive of the SMMT, Mike Horse, said it is very concerned to see demand for UK-built cars decline in November.
Exports fell by almost 23% in November, the fifth consecutive month that exports have declined. Since September, new models have been tested under stricter emission standards, which have disrupted car production. Output was also held up in November as car makers awaited updated engines and transmissions for two models. In addition, manufacturing of the new Toyota Corolla at the Bernaston plant near Derby has not reached maximum output yet. The Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders blamed weaker demand in the UK and in export markets. It also said changes in regulation and introduction of new models and technology had contributed to the fall. The chief executive of the SMMT, Mike House, said it is very concerning to see demand for UK-built cars decline in November, with output seriously impacted by falling business and consumer confidence in the UK allied to weakening export markets. He also called for a no-deal Brexit to be ruled out, saying that thousands of jobs in car factories and their suppliers depend on frictionless trade with the European Union. Last year, the UK exported more than 1.3 million cars, of which more than half went to the EU.
Thank you very much for staying on the marketplace with me, Emmanuel Abuaji. And a new port management system, Unipass, is expected to take over operations at the ports from the beginning of next year. This could mean that from January 2019, the single window system jointly operated by GCNet and West Blue will be unplugged to make way for the new system. However, some have argued that this development could overburden importers. Joining me in the studio at this time is Norvan Akwa-Hayford, my colleague, to assess the situation, who will also be joined on the phone by President of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, Kwabena Ofosu-Appiah, to join in the discussion. Now, Norvan, the Ministry of Trade and Industry has asserted that, the implementation of the new system, the Unipass, will actually be comprehensive because it will integrate various platforms. But on the other hand, importers are worried this could overburden them. What's your take on this? You've been following this issue.
Emmanuel Abuaji, I think that we first of all need to look at, what do we have the infrastructure in place for this new company, that is Unipass. Unipass has its local partners, that is Ghana Link Network Limited. And then remember that GCNet came and started this job on the scratch and have built network over the period and have gone on to the point where, they have collaborated with Customs World, which used to be West Blue Limited. If you look at the fact that they would want to, cut this will be a big problem.
All right, so what exactly is going to happen now? Are we going to see an integration between, GCNet and West Blue, or we're going to see the situation where we totally do away with West Blue and GCNet and the cost factors?
What is supposed to be happening is that Unipass is supposed to take over completely, which means that GCNet West Blue must move away from the port operations. They are going to be unplugged, and then you plug in the Unipass. But the question remains, which infrastructure are they coming on? That is Unipass. And so these things remain questions that have not been answered. Exactly. And let me just chip this in. In fact, I think last year or so, we had GCNet's contract renewed for another 5 years. The same with Customs World that took over West Blue. And so then you ask yourself, are we aware, or is the government aware of all these? And then they still went ahead and signed this contract, somewhere last year again, with the same company that is coming from Korea.
Now, from the indications or the stories I'm hearing, the operations of Unipass and the operations of West Blue and GCNet are not too different from each other. So why is it necessary to totally abandon these two and then come up with a new system which is definitely going to incur some cost? Is it not too bad?
I wish I could answer this question. Even in terms of cost to us as a nation, you're talking of Unipass taking away some 7.5%. Okay. On in terms of what they get on the operations that will be going on. Meanwhile, if you look at GCNet and West Blue together, it's around 60-something%, which is something that everybody will say, okay, value for money. What is GCNet giving me? What are the shortfalls? Even if there have been some kind of challenges or their inability to meet performance contract, let's take a second look at it as a nation. And these are the things that we must look at and see how we can deal with it. I see another judgment debt looming.
Now, one other major concern is that there's a lack of key stakeholder consultation. Recently, I think earlier in the week, the economic management team was supposed to meet with some key stakeholders. That did not come up. But it looks like various key holders at the port system don't know much about this, new system, Unipass, because I spoke with the Customs Brokers Association of Ghana, QBAG, who is saying that they are not even equipped with the operations of the system. Let's hear what he said.
This is what we've gleaned, but not something that we've had a meeting to discuss it. But what we hear is that the transition is going to be phased. It's not going to be, most likely, it's going to be a parallel system before the final termination, because these systems are real-time systems. So you cannot completely terminate one for another one to start. Otherwise, we'll be in.
Now, as a key stakeholder, do you think there's the real need for a change over, introduction of a new system when we don't actually have much, anything wrong about the old system in place?
Well, from a user's perspective, we don't think it is the best way to go. Otherwise, one would have thought you would rather want to, relook at what is there and then tweak, which areas needs to be tweaked and then make it a better system. But I am not privy to the contract that exists between government and these custom management systems, i.e. GCNet or West Blue. So I cannot say the main basis for which they would want to switch over to another new system altogether. But I think that integration can still be attained if the stakeholders are sitting around the table and then critically assessing what has come back so far and then find a way to tweak it. But I'm saying I'm not privy to the contract.
All right, so that was the chairman of the Customs Brokers Association of Ghana, Nana Fridwa Ufuriata, speaking to me earlier on the same issue. Now, Norvan, I hear Imani Ghana has petitioned Parliament to actually take another look at this new, contract. What is it they are saying, and what does it imply?
Yeah, so somewhere, I think Monday or Tuesday, you had Imani Ghana also send a petition to the that subcommittee on trade and industry in Parliament. And what we understand, my talks with them have seen certain things have happened since they submitted their petition. Now, today, the Parliamentary Subcommittee on Trade and Industry, just at 2 p.m., I expected to visit the office of GCNet and look at the infrastructure that is available. I've been there, I've seen the infrastructure there, and I keep asking myself, are they going to hand over this to the Unipass people, or they will pack bag and baggage and leave, and these guys will have to come and build a new one? There ought to be seamless flow when it comes to transition. But if GCNet says, okay, we're going to pack everything and go away, I don't know what is going to happen to us. It means that port operations might be coming to a halt.
Can we have a situation where we have all these three systems working, GCNet, West Blue, Unipass?
No, what is Unipass bringing that GCNet and West Blue together don't have? That is the question we must be asking ourselves. And if we're able to find answers to that, then I'm sure we can move forward. if there is anything within the Unipass system that probably GCNet hasn't got, then we can think of integrating that into the system that we already have. Other than that, there's a challenge. Now, the other thing that has happened, when I spoke to the money people, they said all existing players in the industry, including Ghana Link, were invited to meet the economic management team, as you said within your intro.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, that meeting could not, come on. But I am aware that, the contract of GCNet, which was extended till 2023, has been shown to the vice president, who is also actually the head or the chairman of the economic management team. And so we're hoping that will help him, probably get some answers and advise the president appropriately on this particular project.
So if we decide to abrogate the contract at this time, definitely we're going to pay judgment debts.
Of course. I mean, what else?
That's not too good for us.
That's not too good for us as a nation. And then even the infrastructure, because you must look at it, apart from abrogating the contract, you probably will say, as a nation, we have the money to pay. So let's go ahead and do it. And you may want to do it. So you go ahead. Granted, we have the funds. When we do that, the next thing you are asking yourself is, okay, what kind of infrastructure is Unipass going to use, the Korean company? Now, GCNet could decide that they would want to, take away everything that they have, or would they even decide, okay, we want to hand over what we have to Unipass? Why would I want to hand over what I have to another company? I mean,
do we have any information that the West Blue and GCNet are not deriving or are not helping the GRA to bring in the needed revenue for which it has come to this particular point?
But I'm sure that we have reported on a lot of stories when it comes to revenue generation since GCNet took over the port, and over the years we've consistently seen a rise in the revenue generation and some of the challenges that we've had. And what brought about single window at the ports? I mean, it was to integrate almost all the systems, which were things that were done, which were led by GCNet and the GRA themselves, when the vice president insisted that we needed to ensure that we have a single window in the port operations. So I'm just wondering what Unipass will be doing.
Unfortunately, we couldn't get the president of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, Kwabena Fosuapia, on the line to give us what exactly he also understands with the new system and what it will have, or the impact it will have on port operations. But unfortunately, this is where we have to draw the curtains down on the marketplace. My colleague Norvan Akwa-Hayford has helped me to discuss the issue of Unipass taking over from GCNet and West Blue. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. We have a good afternoon.